Welcome to this week's Hashkafa Chinuch message. It's Parshas Behaaloscha. Parshas Behaaloscha has many different interesting things that we can discuss with our children. There's one very interesting part of the Parsha, and that is the Chinuch of the Levim, the inauguration of bringing the Levim into serving Hashem in the Mishkan. Now we read it's a whole process. It involved Moshe Rabbeinu, it involved Aaron HaKohen, it involved the Bnei Yisrael. Essentially, the Levim had to shave, they had to be woven by Aaron around, up and down. The Israelim had to come and v'somchu and put their hands on the Levim, and so on and so forth. At the very end, it says, the pasuk tells us that Ka'asher tziva Hashem es Moshe al Levim kein osur lahem. Exactly the way Hashem commanded what was to be done for the Levim, that's what they did to them, and everything ended that way. Rashi says, what does it mean? The pasuk is giving a compliment. Lahagid shevach ha'osin v'hanasa b'hem. The Torah is giving a compliment both to those that were doing the process, that were implementing the process, and those that it was being done to. She'echad mehem lo ikev, no one held back, no one resisted. The Hashem explained the compliment to the Levim, to the Israelim, was that even though they understood that the Levim were being chosen over them, they were being elevated to a higher status than they were, nevertheless they didn't resist and they did Hashem's command. The Gourarie explains that the compliment to the Levim was that they went through this process even though it was difficult for them. We know there was a very difficult process to shave, to be woven, and so on. We know that later on in Parshas Korach, there's even a medrash that Korach's wife got so upset because she saw Korach come back and he was all clean shaven, and he told her that he was woven around, and that was part of the reason that she egged him on to go against Moshe Rabbeinu. And this is an interesting story to go through the psukim with our children and just to describe the whole process. And one of the things that we need to take out of the story is that we do things and we serve Hashem even when it's hard. Teaching Kabbalah's oil. Kabbalah's oil means to do things even when it's uncomfortable, to do things even though we don't understand the reason, to do things because Hashem said so. That's a fundamental part of serving Hashem, and as parents, as we talk to our children, is a fundamental component in the chinuch of our children. It is something that in today's world, because we are under the influence of distorted values coming from the secular environment, the concept of Kabbalah's oil is being sort of pushed out the window. Now, teaching Kabbalah's oil does not mean being harsh with children. I just need to make that very clear. And I think some people confuse that. They think, oh no, it's all about love, and therefore Kabbalah's oil could create a negative experience. Kabbalah's oil doesn't need to be harsh. Kabbalah's oil needs to be firm and assertive and clear, and has to come together with a culture of love and friendship and warmth in the home. But teaching Kabbalah's oil is critical. The whole idea of Kabbalas avicha v'simecha, children to listen to parents, is the idea of Kabbalah's oil. But this concept of drilling into our children from a very young age, that yes, some things are hard. Serving Hashem is not always easy, but it's great. It's been connecting us to Hashem, and part of growing and part of being a Yid is when we do things even though it's uncomfortable. In the last few months, someone showed me an article. It was written in a Frum magazine, an article about a different topic, but in the article there was a sidebar about parenting. And the author actually suggested, which was shocking to me, that when a child was young and is finding it very difficult to share their toy with their even younger sibling, because it's painful, the author suggested that we need to go over to the child and acknowledge the pain, and then say, I see it's very hard for you to share, but that's okay, because when you're comfortable to share, then you can share. If you don't want to share now, that's all right. And I have honestly never heard such nonsense in my life. It's completely Heipech HaTorah. Now, there's nothing wrong in acknowledging the pain. That's fine. You can say, yeah, I can see it's very difficult for you to share, but you know what? Sharing is really important, and I'm going to show you how you can share even when it's difficult. I would say that's a real teachable moment to say, look, I know it's your toy and you should be playing with it, but maybe for 3 minutes you'll share it with your sibling. And I'm going to sort of push you along. Because it's very, very important to teach children at a very young age that it's okay to be uncomfortable because we need to be doing the right thing. And I think the strategy, and I think this is something you could talk to children even in the context of this parsha, the strategy is at the very beginning of this parsha, where it talks about Kach es haLevim, when Hashem says to Moshe Rabbeinu, take the Levim, he says, what does it mean, Kach, take the Levim? Rashi says, Kochem bidvarim, take them with words and tell them, Ashreichem shetisku li yishamoshim lamakim. How happy you are, how fortunate you are to be those that are going to serve Hashem. And maybe in the context of this whole parsha, what Rashi is trying to tell us, just a suggestion, is that when Moshe Rabbeinu needs to tell the Levim, it's going to be hard. It's not an easy process, but Ashreichem, you are so fortunate that you were chosen to serve Hashem. Is it going to be easy? Not necessarily. But what a schus. Same thing with everything. It might be hard to share, but what a schus to be able to have Avos Yisrael. It might be hard to bring Negovasa each night. It might be hard to say Shema, it might be hard to daven, but Ashreichem. We have to tell our children, we are so fortunate that Hashem chose us as a nation. He chose us in the mitzvahs. He gave us the idea that we can be connected to Him, Asher Kedushanim b'mitzvaysa v'tzivanu, to make us holy with these mitzvahs, to give us the ability to connect to Him with mitzvahs. So I think that's a interesting discussion to have around this parsha of Levim, and an important takeout that we can take out in the chinuch of our children. Of course, as we always say, children need to see a dugma. They need to see us doing things that are difficult for us to do. They need to see us putting away our phones when we're eating with the family, or when we're concentrating. They need to see us setting aside time to learn even when it's hard. They need to see Kabbalah's oil being acted out by the parents as well. Have a good day and a good Shabbos.